gonna just rename it Discount Chocolate Day.
Yeah, it's that and Halloween. It's the day after, except Halloween's more fun. I go to a Halloween party, I know it's gonna be a bumpin' good time. I go to a Valentine's Day party, I'm not going to that party.
Yeah.
Hi everyone, welcome to another chapter of the Ginger Chronicles.
I'm V.
I'm Gaya.
And we are here to talk to you about life, spoons, and love.
Right, there's a whole commercial season about it. Wish it could just be about the cuddling.
Make life so much easier. Because, surprise, romance is complicated. And romance gets extra complicated when you add chronic illness in. Inherently in like the symptom management and everything, you don't have as much energy for building relationships necessarily. And also there's so much of a lack of understanding in society. Chronically ill and disabled folks deserve fulfilling relationships of all kinds, including romance.
And I've seen it happen. So,
doing my best.
We're not deep diving.
High-level overview.
Romance commercial time. Maybe you want to start dating someone. Maybe someone wants to start dating you.
Maybe you're already dating somebody and you're new at the whole chronic illness thing, and that's the new part.
Yeah. We're going to talk about why chronic illness affects romantic relationships, some of our concerns and considerations, strategies for spoonies in their relationships, and strategies for people who love spoonies and want to be good partners for them.
And also, all of this is applicable if you are somebody who does not yet love a spoonie, but might in the future.
Right.
You never know.
Yes.
Spoonies are hella cute.
We're everywhere.
Western society structures households around romantically linked pairs. Like you have two married people and their kids, or sometimes you'll have like two married people and maybe grandparents and also their kids. But it is really centrally structured around two romantically linked people. It's like changing a bit with our generation because there's more and more people who are living with their families of origin as adults, platonic housemates closer to their own ages. Right. But there's like a different set of expectations. A spouse or a partner or something, there's kind of this expectation of a fairly high level of structural support. The sharing living space and the sharing household duties, the combining incomes, the having your companionship be really informed about what's going on with you can make a really huge difference in quality of life for spoonies. I mean, it can make a really huge difference in quality of life for anyone, but for chronically ill or disabled folks, that can often be the difference between things being manageable to a degree and things being really, really hard. Versus for people who don't necessarily have that factor, it can be the difference between things are okay and things are really great.
Intensity of a support system that a romantic relationship traditionally provides.
Yeah.
Like the partnership that is assumed in of that, it's a huge upgrade in support.
It doesn't have to be that way.
No, it doesn't.
But it is what society kind of primes us to expect.
Yes.
And so if you're going to do things differently, if you're going to take apart those social structures and make different choices, you're still kind of starting from this having to take it apart.
Right. Surprise! This video, I think, is mostly about assumptions.
Yeah.
Societal assumptions, how we think of what normal looks like. When you're dating someone, when you're learning someone, ideally you would learn each other as individuals and sort of optimize how to best support each other and be each other's partnership with chronically ill individuals. That just requires a bit more letting go of what the more expected normal looks like and a bit more customization to what the individual actually needs. This can be hard because dating is already scary. And now there's a whole song and dance about how that's different with someone with a chronic illness and how that potentially can require more work. And I think that's scary on both sides of the equation.
Yeah.
The shortcuts that traditional assumptions allow for relationships and around dating don't really exist.
In a situation without chronic illness, you would be starting from having all of these scripts and norms. And with chronic illness, you're starting from not having that. You actually almost have to backtrack from some of those norms and then build back up to an equivalent degree of knowledge in a different direction.
Right.
Because some of those norms can really trip you up. My experiences of romance interacting with chronic illness, to my own great disappointment, I am the straight woman. So I am actually dealing with a lot of relationships that would otherwise be expected to fit that societal default. And those scripts wouldn't necessarily be right all the time, but they would at least be a manageable starting point until you throw chronic illness into the mix.
Right.
And then everything gets real non-standard real fast.
Not only are you dating men, as a femme woman, you are dating them while chronically ill. I am much queerer, many different aspects, so I've never really had dating within societal norms. And in fact, only started dating much later, which I think is normal for queer folk. Chronic illness is honestly just another layer of complication on top of several other layers that I always have to negotiate, broach, and live with whenever I try dating.
It's like one more thing as opposed to
Just
this
one more
is
thing.
the thing.
Yeah. What sort of fears or concerns does it introduce to the dating for you?
Why would someone date me when they could date someone who isn't chronically ill? I think I'm great.
You're great.
But I also think a lot of other people are great.
Yeah, a lot of people are really great. Oh,
Yeah,
man.
like we don't do not like other girls on this channel. Honestly, I also feel like it would make my life a lot easier in some ways if I could just be completely sure that people who would not be good partners about chronic illness would see it and just nope out immediately. But, like, nobody wants to think of themselves as that person. Nobody wants to look at themselves and be like, oh, I found out this person I was starting to really like had a chronic illness, so I broke up with them. Even if, depending on, like, somebody's capacities and, like, where they are in their life, if that might actually be the best decision for everybody.
For me, a lot of time is that anxiety about what if they have thoughts like, oh, you know, having a chronically ill partner is such a burden, or like, oh yeah, my partner, they're so irreliable and flaky and needy because of their like bad days or their situation, or someone thinking like, oh, you're not going to be as good a life partner as someone healthy would, which is dumb.
Yeah.
Because every person ever will have issues. I feel like I'm fairly choosy. I don't want to date someone who doesn't make my life better. Having a chronic illness limits my dating option, and that's just my feeling. The reality is it probably does.
Yeah.
But that's okay. That's actually preferable because I'm not looking for a whole sea of fish to date.
That sounds time consuming.
Let me put it this way. I'm looking for a handful of fish to select from. And I need them to be the right fish.
Yeah.
So I'm not looking to have endless dating options. But it does feel more like you're searching for a needle in a haystack.
I think the people in the dating pool I have tend to either fall into column A or column B. And I'm like, no, I want things from both. I'm not looking for mass appeal. I'm not trying to date even an entire pond of fish. I'm looking for the right fish.
Title of my autobiography. Let's talk about some dating strategies for spoonies.
And this is not just applicable to like if you're dating new people or looking for new partners. This is like if you have an existing relationship and you're trying to figure out how to manage chronic illness within that.
I think the number one thing is knowing how to understand your own needs and wants, and that's very much a skill. Sort of have to relearn it when you're chronically ill because again, a lot of assumptions go out the window. The easier it is for you to say, I need a break from whatever it is we're doing, or I need to refuel, or we need to go about this in a different way before you're too exhausted.
Yeah, like before things escalate, before you run yourself into the ground.
Yeah, the better outcomes you tend to have.
We end up with sort of the social conditioning around chronic illness. Oh, we should be as self-reliant as possible and things like that. But also, especially if you're newer in your chronic illness journey, you've gone from having one set of needs that you were familiar with, and now you're having to adjust to all of these things that are different. So it's not even just like, oh, I need to learn how to tell other people about this. It's like, oh, I need to get a handle on what this even looks like for me.
Yes.
And that was really hard for me when I was new at having fibro. It can be such a big thing to see how other people respond. If you're evaluating and like looking for red flags or is this person treating me well or not, but also seeing someone handle your needs well is such a trust builder. It's so good.
It's kind of hot.
Because we can get conditioned to not lean on the people around us, we end up almost cheating ourselves out of what it's like to experience being well supported by them.
It's very polarizing, like red flag, green flag.
Kind of.
Depending on how they respond.
And there can be a lot of like, they're a little confused, but they got the spirit.
Yeah.
That happens. That happens. But I would so much rather see that than somebody who's completely sure that they know exactly what I need and like they haven't even asked me.
Can you give some examples of what that type of support would look like for you in a relationship?
Sometimes this will take the form of like, you could, but you don't have to. It's not somebody saying to me like, oh, you can't handle this. And saying like, oh, it would make your life easier if I did this for you. If I'm going on an outing with my partner, like I could carry my big tote bag with absolutely everything I'm gonna need for the day, but my partner right now is bigger than I am, has the advantage of testosterone, and is not chronically ill. And they're gonna bring their backpack anyways. They'll just put most of what I need in their backpack because this is not a significant drain on them. And that saves me so much energy. And I didn't even realize until we started doing this because I was so used to having to carry the big bag. So it wasn't even a question of, will I feel better if I don't do this? I have to do this.
And then I think it's advantageous for them because then you actually are able to keep going for more of the day.
So there's like in the moment communication, and then there's sort of the more like high level, almost planning communication where you end up having these more general conversations about like, what's your diagnosis? How does it tend to affect you? Things like that. With my current partner, they worked out this almost flow chart. If they're the one planning a date or an outing or something, these are the things I need to think about. I need to think about like how much time we're going to be on our feet. If we're going to be walking versus standing. If we're going to be able to sit down easily whenever we feel like it. How frequently we'd have the option of stopping for food. Flexibility in the plans, if how I'm feeling changes. So checking in with me the morning of, in case I wake up and my personal chronic illness dice get rolled and it's just gonna be a rough day.
And that can sound like a lot, but it's one of those things where I'm gonna say, actually, it's not.
This was one conversation.
It's not a lot because dating is about learning each other. It's keeping an open mind. It's enjoying the process. It's letting go of the fears around inconvenience and the thought that being different is hard or difficult. You being different isn't actually a hardship to anyone who's looking to date you.
If someone goes into it thinking it's going to be a lot, then it's going to feel like a lot.
Yeah.
And if someone goes into it thinking that like this is just what you do, then it's just what you do.
Honestly, I do this with my friends.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I know that my best friend will forget to drink or eat, so I will have, check-ins there. For example, phone conversations give them anxiety. So if we're gonna call a place to see if they, are open or not, I'm gonna be doing the calling. It's not labor for me to keep all this information about them in my mind. And that's just my friend who I love dearly.
The act of putting in the effort is usually what counts. And the ability to sort of drop whatever societal scripts or preconceived notions are going to create problems if you stick to them, and learn the new things that are going to be specific to your relationship.
If you're getting into a new relationship, what are some things that you would look out for?
Getting to know someone for the first time in the circumstance of considering if I'm going to date them is kind of new. But I think what I would look for, how does a potential new partner take it the first time I have to say no to something because of my health?
Oh, yeah.
If they're offended, angry, if they take it personally or like rejection, that's a red flag. If they're curious, if they care about how I'm doing, if they're thinking about other options, if their priority is that we get to spend time together in a way that's good for us, those are green flags.
Inflexibility is hard to work with when you have chronic illness. Chronic illness is not polite.
Chronic illness is not polite. Chronic illness is not necessarily flexible.
Something I look for, and this is just in general, it just has become much more important to me since I've realized what I thought was an acute condition is actually chronic, is how ready is the person I'm dating to mesh with my personal life rhythm. I have a weird life rhythm, right, with my sleep disorder. So are they happy about being able to find new ways to help or to join in? Or do they sort of start building up resentment about having to do things differently? Are they thankful for the ways that I'm able to contribute to their life? Or do they seemingly undervalue my efforts? Because even if I'm putting in equal amounts of effort, it might not have the same results because I'm working from a deficit. Obviously, these are things you would ask yourself in any dating situation.
Yeah.
But these are extra important.
And honestly, doing this right can just be downright adorable because you had an entire date that was taking a nap with someone, right?
Yeah, it was really nice. It was a good nap.
Since I haven't had that experience of getting to know someone for the first time in the context of, am I gonna have a relationship with this person or not? I'm actually really curious how you would approach talking about a chronic illness with a potential new partner. Like, is it right away? Is it a couple dates in? Is it not until you're really serious about each other? Is it not until it comes up on its own? Is it really offhand? Do you have like a full, really direct conversation about it? Like, tell us in the comments. I'm taking notes.
Gosh, I mean, I bring it up right away, right? Even before I had my diagnosis, I was like, what you have to know about me is that I sleep. It's so relevant to any other first date topics, you know, kind of like, you know, what do you do? How are you? The issue is that people don't usually get how severe my, you know, sleep thing is until later. So it can feel like I'm under-informing them, and I've yet to figure out how to communicate it without seeming like alarmist.
I have no idea when I bring it up with somebody, because like, even when you're doing this thing that I hear is called like dating like you're in your 30s, you have your first date and you sort of put it out on the table like, okay, here's what I'm looking for from the relationship. Here's what you absolutely need to know about me. Here's what I want. Here's what I definitely don't want. Your turn. At least people have some idea of how to handle somebody saying, by the way, I don't ever want to be a parent.
Right.
On an early date. I don't really feel like they have that for, by the way, I have this thing that always makes me in pain and gives me really fluctuating fatigue and makes it impossible to wake up in the morning, and also migraines, and my spine does a squiggle.
So yeah, if you have any strategies, let us know.
Comments.
Please let us know. What we can talk about a little bit better is strategies for people who are dating spoonies.
A prospective partner, informing themselves about what I have going on. They mention their diagnosis, and you can look that up. Not necessarily to like know more about it than they do or become some kind of authority about it above them, because everybody's got their own experience. My fibro is not the next person's fibro, and so on. If you inform yourself, then one, it shows them that you care. And it saves them a little of the effort of having to be sort of like your only source of information. It gives you some background.
Yeah, context. Context is so important. It's the learning how to be in a good, like, middle ground. You're not ignoring your partner's needs, but you're also not limiting them unnecessarily. So, for example, I feel like a lot of times in dating profiles, people love adventures and hiking. And
to the point where, like, where we live, it's kind of a cliche.
So a good example of that middle ground is that you're not being like, hey, let's go climb the highest mountain around. Let's try to do it while running. Let's put a time limit on ourselves. Let's carry a pack and have a picnic at the top. Let's go. Oh, you can't do that? Oh, you've collapsed in the middle of the trail? Yikes. Bad date. An extreme example. But then the other end of that is, oh, I would really like to go on a hike, but you can't do that, or you shouldn't do that. We want to be gentle to you or take care of you or whatever. Let's just sit on the couch and look at some pictures of mountains. Actually ask your chronically ill partner, hey, what if this sounds good? Would there be a way for us to go hiking in a way that is comfortable for you? What's something else? Could we drive out to a viewpoint? Could we find a hike that ends at a restaurant of some sort? How do we find a middle ground in which we're doing what we want to be doing, but are also accommodating?
A lot of chronically ill and disabled folks, I know me definitely, have this like conditioned sense of being a burden, and it can be really rough to be the one that's continually saying no, or I can't do that, or it's too much, or we have to slow down. If the people we're with are sort of conscious of our needs and remembering that and taking that into account in a way that's not stifling, but is considerate, then it's so helpful, because we don't have all of the weight of that societal conditioning pressing on us every time we have to take care of ourselves.
Yeah.
This, however, is different than making decisions like you know better than us. That is called benevolent ableism, and we do not approve.
Get out of here with that.
Do they need help remembering to drink water? Great. Offer them reminders.
Hydration break.
I need so much water.
I,
in fact, could have been benefiting for those reminders.
Yeah. Hey, pause the video if you need to. Go get some water.
Do they want to keep their plans even if they're having pain and they just want to have a normal day or have something else to think about or have the nice experience anyways because they're going to be in pain whether they stay home or not? Great. Help us figure out how to make that happen. The counterpoint to that is having a good sense of your capabilities before taking something on, because unfortunately, if we've been told that we can rely on a support and it gives way or someone drops the ball, it can have pretty major consequences for us. It is not a bad thing to say, I don't know that I can be relied on for that, or I need to ask you some clarifying questions before I know if I can help with that.
I also think the phrase help us, I think it might be nicer to say work with us.
Yeah.
We're carrying the load, we're figuring it out, we're doing our best, we're putting in the work. So it doesn't fall on a partner to help us with everything, but work with us.
Think about what truly makes you happy and then like work with your partner to see how they might be able to engage with that. And there may be some ways that it might just not work.
Right.
But don't assume you're automatically going to have to give up on doing something with your partner.
If you're looking for a partner who's looking to, hike, travel, box, spelunk, there's a way of sharing those activities.
Mm-hmm.
Or alternatively, just you keep at it, just not with your life partner, right?
I go to marathon partner dance events. Yeah, I have to take careful care of myself to be able to do these, but I really would not want somebody to look at my diagnosis and go, oh, this person's not going to be a good dance partner. Because not only can I keep up with partner dance, I know someone who used a wheelchair and went to all of the same dances I did when I lived elsewhere.
Frickin' rock and
in
roll.
In a wheelchair.
Rock and roll.
I'm pretty sure my partner didn't have date someone with fibromyalgia on their bingo card, but here we are.
The most important thing to take away from this is that dating and romance are about individuals connecting. So it's about learning each other's idiosyncrasies, whether those idiosyncrasies have a medical name or not, and it's establishing systems and habits by which to support one another. You're cute as heck.
You are. Yes, you.
And people would love to nap date you.
We're talking about these skills in the context of chronic illness, but all of the emotional intelligence, the considerations are really just about understanding yourself and your partner, communicating well, finding good compromises in situations where everyone thinks, the things that make for good relationships, full stop.
And honestly, hey, if you cultivate your spoonie skill set, it's the emotional intelligence, self-awareness, and pacing skill sets that make spoonies really good lovers.
Let us know in the comments what your dating life looks like, whether you are a spoonie, love a spoonie, just started dating a spoonie, or want to be prepared in case you meet a cute spoonie.
You can find us around the internet. We'll put our socials info up on the screen and in the description. And good luck out there. Happy dating.
Happy dating, happy commercialized romance holiday flare-up, friends. Even if your preferred activity is just buying the discount chocolate to eat on your own.
Discount chocolates.
Blurble goes the dishwasher.
Yeah, do we wait? I want to drink my tea out of something that makes me look like a hobbit.
R.I.P. attacked my hair.
R.I.P. in pieces. In case you meet a spoonie you like in the future.
Hey! Currently not accepting online applications for partnership.
Yeah, honestly.
Just to be clear.
We can scrap this whole bit.